Welcome to Every Mom is an Athlete, the podcast where we believe motherhood is inherently athletic. From lifting car seats to chasing toddlers, your daily life is a workout. I'm Dr. Karlie, pregnancy and postpartum expert, sports chiropractor, strength coach, and mom of three. This is your space for strength, recovery, and real talk in pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. Welcome, Strong Moms. You're in the right place. Welcome back, Strong Moms. Today, we are talking about why strong moms don't ignore diastasis recti or ab separation postpartum. But before we get into that, I want to tell you guys, I just realized that we just crossed the 1 year mark of Every Mom is an Athlete as a podcast. And I am so happy and excited and grateful to share that with you. So I also wanted to let you know, I do have some new swag. So I'm going to put the link in the notes. We have some very cute Every Mom is an Athlete swag. So there's some tees, some hats, some sweatshirts. I'm actually wearing the sweatshirt right now in like salmon, so cozy. As you may or may not know, the motto Every Mom is an Athlete came from a nursing pumping sports bra company that I used to own with one of my best friends. And so I'm just so excited to bring that into our podcast and into the future of like, we are athletes, no matter what, whether you consider yourself an athlete or not. You do athletic things and you can be an athlete as a mom. So I'm so thankful for you listening every week and sharing with your friends. And I just really hope that this podcast has been helpful to you in your motherhood journey. So with all that being said, let's talk about diastasis. So somewhere along the way, I feel like it's just very polarizing as far as what we're supposed to do with diastasis recti. And before we talk more about that, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. Diastasis recti or diastasis recti, some people say it that way. What it is it's the separation of your abs. And it's not, I don't want you to think about like the abs are not tearing, okay? They're just stretching the fascia that's right down the middle of your stomach. So if you had a six pack, that like fascia that would make the line right down the middle, that stretches and it has to because like where else is the baby going to go? In fact, some studies show that at 35 weeks, almost 100% of women have some form of diastasis. Now, I just say that to make sure that I hear in my office a lot. I hear moms say, oh, I really don't want to get ab separation. I really don't want to get diastasis. Well, like, sorry, you're going to get it. The thing is, we want to make sure that A, we're not making it worse during pregnancy, so we're not straining it more than we need to. And B, we're recovering as quickly and functionally as possible. And it all starts with that core work, the breathing, the bracing, the pelvic floor, the ab control. All of that comes together. And you can start all that, by the way, as soon as 1 week postpartum if you had a fairly uncomplicated birth. Now, doesn't mean you have to. I did start with all three of my kids, even my C-section. I started with breathing and bracing in the hospital because I wanted to feel like I had some control over my body, over my rehab, over how I felt and how I was functioning. And so if that's something that you want, just know that that is how my postpartum plan is designed. The regular plan, vaginal birth, is designed to start as early as 1 week. The C-section plan is designed to start as early as 2 weeks. And hopefully that tells you how gentle those start. And then they progressively overload your muscles so that we're squatting, we're moving a dumbbell or a kettlebell, we're using bands, and we're still working, breathing, bracing, all of those things to heal our core, to strengthen our upper body. All of that can be started super early and then built onto as you go. Now, one of the things I hear from moms as sort of a rebuttal to doing specific diastasis work after you've had your baby is that women have been having babies for thousands and thousands of years, right? And so they didn't do this back then. Why are we doing now? First of all, should your moms probably have been doing some of this work? Yeah, probably. Do a lot of them have literally like 60-year-old women, 60, 70-year-old women, do a lot of them have pelvic floor dysfunction now still because they didn't do some of this work early on? Yes, a lot of them do. But all that to be said, let's go back even more, like go back hundreds and thousands of years. Those women were so much more active. They were moving their bodies through full ranges of motion all day, right? Like they were hunting and gathering and caring for kids and doing all kinds of stuff. They were sitting so much less than we sit now. So the way that our society functions now, it's just not ideal in the way that we recover our bodies, okay? So we have to go to the gym. We have to do some of this rehab if we really want to get back to a high level of fitness and function and do all the things that we want without peeing our pants and without, when we sneeze, having a little bit of leaking. Like nobody wants that. So let's talk about how we can make that all better. The first thing as we get back into diastasis that I want to make sure you know is that postpartum, it does not matter truly how big of a gap you have. Now, let me rewind a little bit. If you have like a 5-finger gap and you've done a lot of work and you're not able to functionally close that at all, yes, then there might be an option for surgery for you at some point along the way. But the vast majority of women, even with a 2 or 3 finger width separation, we can learn to engage those muscles. It's all about the function and not necessarily the anatomical separation, like how far your muscles are actually separated. As an example, last week, this is like maybe one of the weirdest things I've done in my office, is that I was trying to explain this to a patient and I could just kind of tell that she wasn't really getting it. And I was like, you know what? This is super weird, but let you feel my stomach, okay? I want you to feel. So I laid down on my chiropractic table and I did a little crunch without engaging my core, breathing or bracing or anything. I just did a little crunch, okay? And I'm like, feel right here. And she could feel that I still have about a 2-finger width separation. I'm like, okay, do you feel that? Okay, I am 16 months postpartum with my 3rd baby. I believe that I had this separation even before I had kids because thinking back now, I could remember doing core work and having that kind of coning or doming that we see with ab separation and not being able to control it. So I'm pretty sure I've had mine for a long time. But either way, so I show her that, right? And then I say, okay, now let me have you feel that again. And I breathe and I brace and I stabilize my core in the way that I teach all my patients to do and that I teach in my postpartum plans. And I did my little crunch and I had her feel again, I'm doing it right now to my abs, and she could not dig her fingers in, right? And it's not because anatomically the separation went away, but it's because I was using my muscles and using that fascia to quote unquote close the gap and to give me much more stability in my core. And that's what you can do too. And that's why I say that it's not that important. It's not that significant how big the gap is. It's all about what we can do with it and how we can train it to make you feel functionally strong. So what are signs that you actually have diastasis? So if you see coning or doming in your abdomen when you do like a sit-up or you sit up out of bed or you do core work, if you're having low back pain or leaking or pelvic floor symptoms, those can also be signs that maybe you have some kind of separation. Leaking, heaviness, pressure, feeling unstable, core weakness, looking pregnant like many months later after you have had your baby, like not being able to get rid of that pooch, that can also be a sign that you still have some separation that needs to be addressed. And a lot of women are told, I think especially by their OBs, that just give it time, it'll come back, because it is a natural thing that has to occur, right? But like I said, the way we live our lives now is not naturally the way that we're supposed to move. So we do need some kind of help with this. We're not necessarily just going to bounce back, and it's not something you have to deal with. So what do? I hear sort of 2 very extreme answers out there. One is like, never do core again, never do abs again. You can't do abs, you can't do sit-ups. And that is not true, straight up not true. Okay, I have a separation still. I do sit-ups all the time. Well, I shouldn't say all the time. I do them when they're programmed in a workout because truly they're not the best way to strengthen your core. Okay, but that's like for another episode. But I can do sit-ups. I have done them. And another sort of extreme that I hear is just do some crunches, do some planks, and it'll be fine. But the thing is, that's just like way too simplified, right? Like we have to look at the whole system, the whole pressure system. The core, as I explain it in other episodes, is like a big barrel, right? So the pelvic floor is the bottom, the diaphragm, which is your breathing muscle, is the top right under your ribs. And then you have all these deep core muscles around your glutes, your low back muscles that are going to stabilize that, okay? So to really, truly fix diastasis, we have to look at all of those pieces because we can't fix the front of the barrel if the back of the barrel, those low back muscles, are super tight and pulling and restricting you. It's going to be real hard to create that tension in the front, right? So that's why we have to look at the breathing mechanics, look at our deep core coordination, so our transverse abdominis and those muscles. We have to see how our low back is moving and make sure that our hips are mobile, make sure that our glutes are firing and stabilizing our pelvis and that we have full range of motion, if possible, in our hips. So all these things go into the healing of that front part of your abs. And that's why it's so important to do some kind of plan. Now, I'm also going to put in the show notes, I have a freebie. I have to remember, is it top 4 or 5? I think it's top 4 exercises. I think it's top 4 doctor recommended exercises to start healing your diastasis. And please, this is just a beginning. This is not the way to fix everything, but this is where you can start. So if you want to grab that freebie, I'm also going to give you guys a code down in the show notes to get my postpartum plan for a discount just for being a listener to this show, because that is a big part of my postpartum plan is healing the diastasis functionally, right? Making sure that your glutes are firing, making sure that your pelvic floor is stable, and strengthening the upper body, working on the guns so we can get our upper body back, making sure we have range of motion in our upper back and our hips, all that stuff. So check that out. If you have done no postpartum work and you're like, I don't even know where to start, then that is the plan for you. Another thing I hear about diastasis from patients in my office is moms who are like 3, 4, 5 years, even more, right? 10 years, 12 years postpartum are like, oh, I still have this separation and there's nothing I can do. It's too late. But that is not true. Anatomically, maybe those muscles are not going to come back together after all that time. That is true, actually. But what's not true is that functionally you can't improve it. And just because, by the way, also, I want to make this clear, just because you're thin doesn't necessarily mean that your core is functioning properly. I have met many women in my practice who are thin and fit and still have separation. And so they are not as strong as they could be. They still feel weak in their core. They're having low back pain or pelvic floor issues, and that's a big piece of it. So if you're having this issue, I would recommend, if you can, get in to see someone, right? Pelvic floor PT, a chiropractor like me who really focuses on pregnancy and postpartum care. And if that's just not an option for you, like there's not someone near you, or you're like, I have way too many kids, Karlie, like I cannot get out for an appointment. That's when my postpartum plan also would be a great option for you, because you can do a lot of it at home. As we close out, I just want to make sure you know diastasis is normal, okay? It is evidence that your body adapted to growing an entire human, which is amazing and so awesome. But we do want to stabilize the core after that baby's come out so that we can get back to doing all the things we love, whether that's playing high-level sports, competing in things, running marathons, or it's just chasing your kids around and not peeing when you sneeze and cough, and like being able to jump on a trampoline or pick up heavy things and help around the house. Like whatever it is, you deserve to feel your very best. And so if you're feeling disconnected from your core, struggling with some of these symptoms, or wondering where to start, that's where I would really encourage you to check out my postpartum plan and get going on that right away, because you will be so shocked how once you start the consistent work, very simple exercises that take 20 to 25 minutes a day, you will see such an improvement. All right, strong moms, next week we're going to talk more about pain postpartum, so be sure to tune in for that. And again, I am so grateful for you. Thank you for this past year. It has been so fun being able to share all of this knowledge, some of the amazing moms that I've had on here and other providers, and I'm just so grateful and looking forward to this coming year. Until next week.
Thanks for listening. Every Mom is an Athlete isn't just a podcast. It's a reminder that you're still the athlete you've always been. If this episode resonated with you, I'd so appreciate it if you'd share with a friend or leave a quick review. It helps more moms find the support and information they need. See you next time.